There are 86% of you that actively watch the show but are not yet subscribed on YouTube. I'd really love to hit 1,000 subscribers this year, so please help me out and go and subscribe. If you've already subscribed, I thank you. You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I know you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're trying to be more zen. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to be more assertive, start training jiu-jitsu. I'd like to welcome Emily Eyles to my podcast. Hi Emily, how are you?
Hi Lou, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, and very pleased to have you back on the show because your last appearance was the 11th of November 2023. Feels like an absolute age ago, episode 9, and now we're 113.
Yeah. I went from single digits to triple digits, which is pretty cool.
And so much has happened. So let's talk about the kind of a recap, really, of your life over the last 2+ years, because you've recently been promoted to black belt. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it?
When I got there, I was like, gosh, this is pretty zen. It felt like, when you're like, oh, I'm climbing the mountain, but then you get it and you're like, oh, I'm already at the top, but not like at the top, but I've already reached the mountain. So, I mean, obviously there's more climbing at black belt, but it was really like, oh, and there was like all this tension just gone, which is weird. I didn't expect it to be like that.
Nice. I like that. So a feeling of relaxation and calm and achievement.
Yeah, I just felt like there is not any pressure. Which is weird because you feel like there'd be more, but now I just feel pretty zen.
Good. But I guess on the flip side of that, the journey to black belt over the last couple of years, recap some of the highlights, because you're a very, very active traveller and competitor, and I'm always seeing your AJP events or, all sorts of things all over the world. So give us a quick rundown, Emily.
Yeah, so I guess some of it was a bit fraught, some of it was fun. Everything, I guess, at the end was fun, and I have a lot of great memories. I met lots of new friends who are now old friends, I love to make more friends, so if you want to be friends, hit me up. But yeah, I competed all the time since I was a white belt. I did my first one, lost my first match, got a default bronze, and thought it was the best thing ever, because I didn't win anything in school in sports, and I didn't do any sports in uni. So yeah, that was great. Fought more at blue belt. I got a silver medal at Nogi Worlds, which I was like, wow, maybe I can actually win stuff, which was sick. But winning's really hard, like we talked about last time.
We did, and it was about just going all in for your first few competitions, because you've got nothing to lose. We know when to tap, and it's just about having a fun time.
Yeah, and I think if you don't enjoy it, you don't have to be having fun all the time, but like if you don't overall enjoy it, then you have to think about it, or maybe think about how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get in a bit of a rut. Like this year I felt like I was in a bit of a rut, and then sort of just thought more about how I was practicing, and then just started being happier and enjoying it more.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wanted to keep doing it, but I was a bit like kind of meh.
I get it. It's about having that mindset and kind of refocusing. But you talk about meeting friends that are now old friends over the last couple of years. And I want to congratulate you on your recent engagement to William Timmis.
Thank you. Yeah. So we met at a tournament. I think I was reffing, and I think I reffed Christian, who's his brother. And then we were talking online, and then we met up and sort of started dating, and then now we're going to get married, which is a bit surreal. Annoyingly, he got his black belt before me, so you can always hold that 6 months or so, maybe 8 months over me, but it's okay. He probably won't.
Well, he might now. He's listened to this episode.
He may do. No, he's not that kind of guy, I don't think. So
it's fine. I'm only winding you up, Emily. Sorry, William.
Okay.
But it was lovely to meet you both at the recent Kairos event, where William did exceptionally well. And Ben, my son, Ben Scrapple, I'm going to name drop, took a
Yeah.
lovely photo of you both.
Yeah,
You
he
just look
took
so
a lot
happy.
of incredible photos of us, to be fair. I think there's another one of us watching a match, and we're just like kind of cuddled up together a little bit. It's really cute. I like that one too. I think Ben took that one as well. I can't remember, but Ben's doing some great work.
He is, and his jiu-jitsu is progressing, as is the rest of the family. So we'll just keep going because
Yeah, the Power
this
family.
it is ideally the long game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a long game, and I think that's what some people forget. They're very immediate about everything. Like the last tournament gets forgotten, or like the last success gets forgotten, and they're moving on. But I think you need to be happy with what you've done. Like I
Yeah,
managed to qualify for World Pro 2 years in a row. And you fight, brown belts and black belts fight together. So last time, the time before last, sorry, I was at brown belt. This time I was black belt, but I was still fighting the same division. And it was kind of annoying. My first match went not great. Like I just got caught by a wrist lock, and I was like, but then my second match was good, but I lost on an advantage. But I was still pretty
yeah,
happy. Like it's like
good.
if you look how far you've come, like I wouldn't have ever imagined I would qualify and then get, so AJP will pay for you to go if you qualify properly.
Wow.
And I don't think I ever would have conceived that I would have been doing that like 5 years ago. And it's great. I mean, yeah, I didn't win, I didn't podium, but it's still an experience still there. Like if you look at how other sports do it, like people in
Yeah,
judo aren't like, I mean, maybe a little bit, but they're not like upset that they got it to like the Olympics and they didn't get gold, or got to the
yeah,
world championships and they did like a lot of sports. People are still happy. I mean, they would love to win. Winning's great, but people have a realistic sense of what they can attain. Like you get
yeah.
people who are runners, and it's not like, I feel like in jiu-jitsu sometimes people are like, well, if you're not winning gold at worlds, what's the point of competing at all?
Wow.
Or like, oh, I got silver or I got bronze at this like really prestigious tournament.
Yeah,
Um, but like that's not gold. And I think it's really damaging, especially for younger athletes. You're like, wow, you're like amazing at this sport. You're like such a
yeah,
cool person, such a great athlete, but like you're getting silver, bronze, and such a difficult bracket, and you're being really harsh on yourself. And I think being more balanced about it and being like, yeah, like I would love to win gold. And I think I'm capable of winning gold,
yeah,
but it just wasn't my day that day. Or like figuring out what you need to fix without being mean to yourself. Because being mean to yourself, I think I said this last time, is just like
yeah.
such a performance killer.
Yes, absolutely. And it's more than the winning. It's ultimately still taking part and just reiterating meeting friends and being at tournaments and just being in the atmosphere. Every time the British Open is on, I haven't been there. I've had massive FOMO. And yes, it happens a couple of times a year, and then the reorg kind of earlier in the year. But every time I'm so pleased I'm there. There's always people that I know or I don't know, and I just chat with them and connect with them, and it just is such a fulfilling hobby activity, kind of going on to more professional levels like yourself as well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun. I love it. And I think everyone who's doing it loves it in a way.
Yeah,
But sometimes I think you just have to reflect. I really like in yoga, and I actually have started doing yoga, which is annoying because I thought it wasn't going to help, and it does help so much. So I started that in October, maybe. I
yeah,
started doing hot yoga like 4 times a week, and I was like, wow, my jiu-jitsu is so much better. That's so annoying. But they're like, bring to practice what you have today, or like think about what you
yeah,
intend to do. And I think that's something that's missing from jiu-jitsu as a whole, especially like maybe in coaching and stuff, is like setting an intentionality for the practice and getting
yes,
people to set what they want to do in the day. And I mean, obviously if you're doing it as a hobby, you don't have to do it extremely, but like check in where you're at and then figure out what you can do with that, and
yeah,
then what you want to do. Sometimes I just train just for fun. I'm just vibing and I'm like, I'm just going to try stuff. Other times I'm like, I really want to work on this particular area.
yeah,
Other times I'm like, I want to roll like an absolute savage. But that's like, hey, I'm at my peak condition. I'm really well recovered.
yeah,
And I have the mentality. Like
yes,
yesterday, I rolled for like an hour with William, and I just ended up being kind of tired. And he took me to get breakfast. And I realized that he realized I was hungry and I didn't. So
Yeah.
he preempted me being cranky. But I didn't have like the sharpness I wanted to have. But I was also like, I've just gotta,
Yeah.
at least try.
Yeah. The
So
more that I've been training jiu-jitsu, the more I've noticed that actually I have to be fueled. I have to have had enough sleep, and I'm only a hobbyist, but it's the sleep, it's the food, it's the kind of,
hydration.
yeah, everything. And if one of those is off, actually, I notice my game is a bit, too chilled. Not that I go savage very often, but sometimes it's quite fun. And certainly not at open mats do I go savage. Normally after classes and after sparring, positional sparring, I will have a little go, but only when I know that I'm fully ready to do those things. Else it's just a case of fun.
Yeah, because you have to be ready for the other person to bring the same intensity you're bringing. Like if you're
Yeah.
rolling like that, you have to be
Yeah.
prepared that the other person's going to do it back.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's
Like,
some of the fear as well for me is if you dial up the intensity, you've got to be ready to take that back because it's not one way. And if it is,
yeah,
then it just feels like a rubbish roll, really.
it really depends who you're going with and whether you feel like you can be safe with them as well. Like
Yeah,
with William or guys I've been training with for a long time, or sometimes I go to RJ in London for the competition training.
yeah,
And I know with them, it's almost like I don't. It's like a mental thing where you're like, I don't want to be mean or rude to someone, but that's just something you have to get over. And then if they're
yeah,
competitors and they're also trying to do well in training, then it doesn't matter because everyone's trying for the same thing,
yeah,
and no one's going to be mad at you for trying hard too.
yeah.
Like if you are constantly eye poking people, then yeah, you have a you problem. But if you're just trying really hard and occasionally you might glance somebody, then it's fine.
Yes. less eye poking, no eye poking. Emily, you mentioned hot yoga. What is it
Yeah.
about hot yoga that has made such a difference in your game?
I don't know if it's the hotness, the heat. I am educated, I promise. But it is it's convenient. It's very close to where I work, so I can walk over there in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah,
And they've got a big schedule, so there's lots of sessions to go to, lots of different teachers with different styles, which is nice. I think it's kind of like jiu-jitsu. You have to find a place you vibe with, and there's a couple teachers there I really like. And it is like sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered, but I don't do everything in the class. If I'm like really fatigued, I'm not going to
yeah,
do like 50 downward dogs. I'll do the ones I can do.
yeah,
But they always transition through downward dog, man, and my body hates it. But I think it might be a technique thing as well. That's a technical problem. But it just feels like everything's loosened up and kind of relaxed, and my body's like a bit happier from it. It's
yeah,
like kind of you could train mobility or Pilates or something similar. Maybe not
yeah.
crazy workout Pilates, but like the OG Pilates. But I think having some mobility in there, and I think the hot heat helps because you're kind of already a bit warmed up.
Yeah. So
But
I've
equally, I
never,
don't
never
mind
done.
cold yoga. Sorry.
Okay, I've never done hot yoga, but I'm listening to hot yoga on lots of different podcasts at the moment. Um, so is it just a room that's really hot and everyone does yoga? Talk, explain.
It's really funny. The one I go to is called Hot Pod. I think it's a British
Ah,
chain. So like
yeah,
you can franchise it, and you basically go into this like a caterpillar like tent, though it is a bit like a womb in a way because it's kind of dark and it's got nice lights. And then you have to bring a towel because otherwise you'll sweat on their yoga mats and they don't want you to. And it's pretty hygienic, so you have to clean the mat after and clean everything
yeah.
you use. So it's nice. It's in like a little in places I've been before. It's been like just a really hot room, but I
Okay.
think the pod makes it viable for them to do it in the UK because electricity prices and it keeps all the heat in. I think it's like basically an insulated blow up tent,
Yeah,
which is a bit
nice.
unromantic when I put it that way, but it looks like a bit like a caterpillar.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got it. I've got it. It wasn't some buzzword for a style of yoga, is what I was getting
Um,
at.
I th- I think it's like a type of yoga studio you can do different sorts of yoga in. Um,
Okay.
and I think the Hot Pod franchise chain has like their own sort of set things they have because they have different names for different sorts of classes, and I think it has more to do with the intensity of what you're doing.
Okay. Good. It's
Yeah.
been a while. I mean, I dabble in yoga, but I was very into yoga maybe 20, nearly 30 years ago. And it was my thing, but I was doing all the different types of exercise and weightlifting and all sorts of other things. But maybe it's time to revisit some of those things, especially if it's going to improve your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think I just was also incredibly like tight from jiu-jitsu. It just isn't great because it's very asymmetric. So you're just like your body's just a bit like this. There's a great picture or video of like I think it's Joao Miao like doing like a dead hang, and one of his shoulders is like this much higher than the other. Like his shoulder blades are like this.
Oh my god!
You're just a bit like I don't want to have Joao Miao shoulder blades. So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
the yoga is helping with that.
All
I
right,
think.
fabulous. Anything else over the last couple of years that has been fundamental in getting you to where you are today?
I think I've always just tried to be quite reflective, and I think I've said this last time, but I think about what I did well and what I didn't do so well. You have to have the positive, because otherwise you're just going to be mean to yourself and be like, I'm bad.
Yeah.
And you can't really have something that isn't actionable. So I think in a lot of areas of life, when people want to fix something, they don't think about the specifics of what they need to fix. They think, oh, I'm bad at math, or oh, like I'm not very good at this. And yeah, that might be true. I was bad at math, and now I do math for a job. But it's like figuring out what parts of it you can action and timelines for that. Like have a realistic timeline. Like I'm getting back into running, and I wanted to do 10K yesterday, and I was like, actually, I don't think I have it in my legs to do 10K and then be able to do everything else I want to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do like 6.5 or 7K. I can't remember what I did, but like thinking, how can I action this in a way that's going to be sustainable and that I can actually do? Because like you see people online who are like, oh yeah, I'm running a marathon every day and stuff, and that's like their only job is to run a marathon every day, because they get, I guess, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but they get some sort of sponsors or money from content. And I'm like, yeah, if that's the only thing you can do, then cool, like you can like absolutely blast it and your body's used to it. Or it's like some jiu-jitsu athletes who only do jiu-jitsu. So yeah, of course they can train all day. And they can, and if you are someone just doing jiu-jitsu and you have the funds to do that, that's amazing, like sick. And you should be doing jiu-jitsu all day or something, some kind, like have a sensible training plan. But yeah, like if you don't have the whole day to do stuff, then you're going to have to like make compromises so you can actually do something.
Yeah.
But it can be hard to get started. So you have to reflect on it. It's all about thinking it out and thinking up a plan and being realistic.
Like plans. Yeah, it's definitely about being realistic and finding something that can kind of work for you without that necessary kind of focus on the immediate results. Reflecting that actually this may be a month or two, or it might be a year plan of whatever you're trying to achieve, because things just take longer than you imagine.
Yeah, like you could get results really fast, but that would require all of you and all of your time. And I don't think everyone has that to give, because you need to eat, sleep, pay rent, have a job. I mean, if you don't, there's no problem with that, but most people have to do those things.
They do. This episode is sponsored by Ben's Grapple Lens. If you train jiu-jitsu, you already know this. The best photos are taken by people who actually understand the sport. Ben is a jiu-jitsu photographer and a grappler, so he knows when the moments matter. The grips, the scrambles, the emotion after the match. He's already shot events connected to this podcast, including the Jiu-Jitsu Lu 100 episode Grand Prix and Openmat, as well as competition events like Kairos 3 at Escapology BJJ. If you're running a competition, Openmat or gym event and want photos that actually reflect the spirit of Jiu-Jitsu, and you want to support a hard-working young person coming up through the community, find Ben's Grapple Lens on Instagram and send him a DM with your event details. This is a Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Keep checking out the clips that drop as soon as I've recorded an episode, usually way before the episode gets released, over on YouTube, remember to subscribe, Instagram and TikTok. Today, I'm having a conversation with Emily Eyles. Emily, let's talk about your competing and traveling, and the balance between your work life and your home life and your jiu-jitsu life now.
Yeah, so I fund pretty much everything that I do with my job that I have. I think that it's, for me at least, and for a lot of people, it's not realistic to be able to do everything you want. But because I stayed in school, I did a PhD, and now I work as a statistician, and that allows me the money that I want, so I can do everything I want. When I was just doing my PhD, I didn't have the money to compete as much or do as many tournaments as I wanted.
Yeah.
So I think people need to be more like realistic about what they can do with their funds. Like there's people traveling doing loads of tournaments and they're either sponsored, maybe their family is helping them, which I think is wonderful. Like if your family can help you be a jiu-jitsu athlete and fulfill your dreams, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes people don't represent that in a way that makes sense. They obviously don't have to always be like, oh, like, you know, thanks to my family for funding me or something like that. It just has to be like, for a normal person to do it, you need a job. And that means your training time is constrained necessarily. My job is quite flexible, which is nice. But if you have a less flexible job, you just have to be really on it with your schedule.
Yeah.
And you just have to train when you can, and you can't just, you know, do day training and then have a nap. You have to work. And then that means you have to be realistic about what I was talking about before, like what can you realistically do in your day, still have good recovery. And yeah, I think it requires a bit more discipline. I don't mean that as a negative thing towards people who can do jiu-jitsu all day. It's just different. It's not better.
It does feel very different when you're kind of budgeting or making, you know, financial plans for the next year or two. I'd love to make it to Worlds in 2027. My jiu-jitsu game needs to be better, but also, you know, I need a funding strategy, or I just need to do more paid work, which, you know, we can only do what we can do within the realms of what's possible in our current lives. But I love the way that you document your traveling, your kind of realistic budgeting as well for events. Certainly some of the ones that I've seen on your stories over the last couple of years. Is there anything that surprised you about the budget that it costs to go and take part in a competition?
I'd say, honestly, for competing in Europe, most of the cost is usually the fee. It's often cheaper if you live near an airport. So I live in Bristol, and Bristol Airport is a very short bus ride away.
Yeah.
It's sometimes cheaper to compete in like Spain than to compete in London. Because British tournaments nowadays, they want 70 or 80 pounds if you late register, which I tend to do, which is my own fault. Some tournaments obviously have a cheaper price. I can't think of any offhand. You may know better, because I know it sounds bad, but I don't do a lot of the British tournaments because there's not usually anyone for me to fight. And I'd rather join a ranking system like AJP and pay similar money, where I get something out of it as well, even if I only have one fight. Whereas if I do like a local tournament with just one fight, I'm just paying for the fight. And it's one person, and it's probably someone I know. I'm like, I might as well just go roll with them, which sounds really bad. Like, I would love to participate more in local tournaments. It's just, I don't have a motivation to.
If the cost is equivalent and you can travel to Europe, sounds much more exciting than driving or getting the train to somewhere in the UK.
Yeah, especially with a train ticket or bus ticket added in. Like, London is doable from Bristol, but if you're going somewhere else, most of public transit doesn't get there in time for you to get to the tournament, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I will do a full disclosure that because I got second in the Spanish AJP ranking last year, I don't have to pay the registration fees for Spain, which makes it even more appealing.
Nice.
And of course, there's how much discomfort can you tolerate, which sounds like such a podcast line. I love it. How much do you hate yourself? So I'll sleep like anywhere that's safe. I'll look at hostels. I love a hostel, but I will look at all the reviews and see what sort of hostel it is. I don't mind a party hostel if that's the only option.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, there's lots of like kind of miscreants staying here, or it's really dirty, or there's bugs, and I won't stay. I won't. If someone says it's dirty, I'll look at the other reviews. But if someone says there's bugs, then I'll consider strongly other places.
Yeah.
And then there's also the classic airport overnighting, which is
Yeah.
generally usually quite safe. But that's sleeping on a cold floor. So my advice for sleeping on a cold floor is put something underneath you, a jacket, a gi. Otherwise, you're going to get really cold.
Yeah.
But there's also an excellent website, which I'll give a plug to, which is, I think it's Sleeping in Airports. And you can look up any airport in the world, and people have reported back about where the best places to sleep are.
Oh, so maybe that's the starting point to find the next tournament. And I often see such wonderful patisserie delights on your socials. Any notable notable patisseries that you've enjoyed over the last couple of years?
Like pastry highlights. I'm a gourmand. I'm a bit of a hedonist in that way. I think life is short. You have to enjoy it. Obviously, if you're cutting weight or doing something like that, you have to wait. But I really liked, there's one in Madrid called, I think it's La Duquesita, and they had some really nice stuff. I love the ones in Portugal. I think Portuguese, like patisserie, using a French word for Portuguese stuff. But that's my favorite because a lot of it's like egg yolk based, and I'm an egg yolk fan. There's lots of weird convent pastries that are really yummy. So you don't have to just have pastéis de nata when you're at Europeans. But this is going to come out after Europeans. Have something else. Try a different thing. Like you can just point at it, but everything is usually excellent. So it's worth trying things other than that. Though pastéis de nata are really good. There's other good pastries in Portugal. So yeah,
I knew this
that's
episode
probably a controversial take for a podcast.
That's fine. Emily, do you have a competition plan for the rest of 2026?
I have a loose plan only because AJP hasn't released a full schedule. I'll probably do most of the Spanish tour because I can do it for free. I am going to be missing Valencia next month because I'm co-hosting the Empower Grappling Collective Open Mat on the first weekend of the month. I think it's the first Sunday. So come on out, come roll. That would be sick if you were there. I'm going to do Europeans. So I'm doing it in Masters this year because I didn't qualify for adults. And I was like, actually, I am 36 years old, which is a not horrifying, but surprising thing to say because I didn't expect to be this old, which sounds weird. Not like, oh, like my life was bad and I expected to die before 30, but just like I turned 30 and then COVID happened. So I feel like 5 years younger than I am, but I'm not.
Yep. I get you. I get you.
So I'm planning to do a bunch of the AJPs. So I'm planning to do all the European Grand Slams. I'm hoping they're going to do a Grand Slam in China, and I would love to go to China because I also really want to eat Chinese food. So that would be great to get to participate in and hopefully qualify again for World Pro one more time. I've been saying one more time since I turned 34. Like, I'll slow down one more time. And then, no, just who I am, I guess.
Good. I love the hearing about all of the travels. I'm certainly going to be watching all of your socials. Now, since you mentioned about becoming more zen during getting your black belt, there's a flip side to that in terms of being assertive and aggressive. Talk to me about this, Emily.
Yeah, I think I've always been, and I think when you coach, you realize there's kind of two types of people who do jiu-jitsu, or like maybe there's more, but there's people who are like a little too aggressive and there's people who are definitely not aggressive enough. There's always people in the middle who are like perfect and like super good at maintaining a difference between those two things, or balance rather than difference. But I'm definitely on the side of being not aggressive enough. I rolled with a black belt back home who's been a black belt since, I think he got his black belt when I was a white belt there, so when I was still living in Canada. And he's like, you do good stuff, and then you just like don't do the last like 10-20%. Like you should just like go for it. And that's been a big problem for
Wow.
most of my career in jiu-jitsu. I think I probably said it last time as well, but I've really been working on just like, don't worry about the other person as much. They'll be fine. And if they're not fine, they'll tell you. And if you've done something wrong, you can just apologize.
Yeah.
So I've been really working on just going for it a little more, committing a little more. Obviously it's a process, and some days like still a bit too nice, but obviously if I'm rolling with like a white belt who I'm heavier than by like 20 kilos, I'm not going to be like die. But let's just figure out, or the reflective practice on each roll, thinking about what I want to get out of each roll, and then also because you need other people to train with, like thinking about what the other person is going to get out of the roll, and sometimes it's just I'm going to go really hard and they're going to also go really hard, and we're both going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Is there any advice for any of us in the kind of white belt, blue belt phase of our jiu-jitsu career that you have learnt over the years that you can maybe, I'm not necessarily fast tracking, but that you can offer us as a means of learning more at this point in our career?
I think for white and blue belts to improve quickly, I think it's, again, I'm just going to be annoying and say the same thing. It's about thinking about what you're doing. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like a bit of experimentation, creativity, but not being shy to ask questions about it. I don't think you should almost never say no, like a full hard no. Like there's some stuff that's just going to be inefficient, or it just doesn't work in every scenario. So it's more like figuring out what scenarios it works in. But like thinking about what I can improve, what are the answers to what I can improve, and finding those answers. Like, think people love looking online, and I think I said this last time as well, looking at videos, looking online is a great way to learn, and there's a lot there, but your coach should also be able to help you. So I think not being shy about asking your coach for advice, or even if you've already looked online and thought like, oh, okay, so Sarah Gavao does it this way, and I think this might be the answer to what I want. You can still ask them, this is the question I have, this is the solution I think might work, like what do you think?
Yeah.
And a coach should be able to answer that for you and help you out. I think not being shy to ask, trying to figure out where to progress your game, and like having slightly more specific questions.
Yeah.
Because a more general question might be harder, and I might have to take some time, watch the person, and then come up with something.
Yeah.
And competing is really good, because you see what you do well and what you don't do well under pressure.
Yeah.
In a safe way.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I will certainly be aiming to compete more. I've got the bug a little bit now, and just seeing everyone else at the tournament, and making more friends, and just having a good time, whilst using a bit of that assertive aggression, maybe.
Yeah, it's super fun. And it's supposed to be fun. That's also what I tell people all the time.
It is supposed to be fun. That is right. Emily, congratulations once again on your black belt promotion and your engagement to William Timmis. It would be great to have him on the show at some point. But in the meantime, how can people follow your journey if they're not already?
How can people follow me? I mostly only post on Instagram, though I've been quite bad at it lately. I kind of have been less on my phone, which has been nice, but I want to make my videos again. I'm behind. I have like 2 more from World Pro. I think it's 2 more to make. But I'm on Instagram at Emmington. So that's where you can find me. I don't have a TikTok. I'm sorry. I know if I get another app, I'm just going to lose the progress I've made on my mindless scrolling journey. A little bit of mindless scrolling is fine now and then, but I didn't want to be doing it as much. So I thought Instagram only. So that's where you can find me. And if you want to train with me, you can find me at Sweatbox Gym in Bristol. I teach on Wednesday evenings. I think it's at 7:45, and everyone's welcome. It's all levels. It's in the gi, but if you don't have a gi, that's fine. We can figure something out. So come on down. And I also teach privates, and you can message me about this.
Fabulous. Absolutely. We'll put the call out, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. Let's not leave it over 100 episodes next time. We will catch up. And,
I'll definitely love.
Good stuff. Right. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
If you've got this far, thank you so much. Let me know who you'd like to see on the show next. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.